It is near impossible to go a full active day without seeing in a store or advertisement some sort of message relating to social media. Restaurants will have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter logos on their coasters in their shops. Advertisements will have hashtags for shops to promote their sales. Politicians will use social media platforms to relate their message to a broader, younger audience. Social media has become so pervasive in our lives that it has indeed become nigh impossible to avoid, even away from one's cell phone or computer. It has gotten to the point where having a social media presence is vital to many businesses and even for personal socialization. Whether you know about a gathering at a friend's house can be entirely dependent on whether you check Twitter or Facebook in the morning. Indeed, social media platforms are highly instrumental, but what are the maleffects it can have on the individual? Numerous studies have been made in recent years on the effect of social media and addiction, but it can be difficult to weed out legitimate studies from hearsay and speculation. A relatively new field of study, after all, longevity studies are very few and far between, simply due to how short of a time social media has been around, relatively speaking, of course. Nevertheless, some effects of social media are clear and can be rather detrimental to the individual. Why is it that people enjoy Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram so much? It could be that human beings are just social creatures and that even the most personal, introverted person has social needs. So it's obvious that social media can help fulfill these needs. However, there is more to it than simply fulfilling a need, otherwise you would not see people checking their phones in the middle of a conversation. In a 2012 Facebook study at the Harvard University Department of Psychology, it was found that sharing information about yourself actually activates the pleasure centers in your brain. These are the same pleasures that can be activated by eating, sleeping, having sex, or gaining money. During some of the experiments, patients were hooked up to an MRI machine and asked a series of questions for them to share opinions about themselves and the opinions of others. When they shared opinions about themselves, they had much more neurons in the pleasure centers were fired off. In secondary experiments, subjects were told before they shared their opinions that they were sharing in front of an audience. Sharing in front of an audience was found to be even more pleasurable than sharing with just one person. It can be seen how the results from the experiments transfer over to social media. The more we share about ourselves, the more we like, the more we post videos of ourselves and share other content, the further increases the pleasure we get from social media. A University of Albany study suggests that clicking and receiving notifications actually tricks our brain into thinking we've been rewarded. And because these notifications and other updates on your feed are completely random and you can have no idea what content is going to show up, it further increases your desire to check back with frequency. And so these smaller rewards fire off other neurons in the pleasure centers of our brain, causing us to increase our addiction more and more. It's no wonder how people can spend so much time browsing Facebook, because every time you click something, you're rewarded. All social media platforms discussed thus far are fully available on your phone, meaning that you have access anywhere. Social media addiction is very real, but aside from wasting your time, how can it be harmful? Whether consciously or unconsciously, when we browse social media, we are comparing ourselves to what we see others posting. Based off of these comparisons, we make judgments about ourselves or others. This is basic social comparison theory. This theory is nothing new, and we do it face-to-face, so there's no reason to think that we don't do it online. While comparing ourselves to another can be mental damaging when it occurs face-to-face, it can be even more harmful when it is done over social media or other online interactions. Generally, when we share things about ourselves online, we share the best, most wonderful, superfluous things about ourselves. And so when we see other people and what they post, we're comparing ourselves to essentially a fairy tale version of them. This means that when we look at our friends or acquaintances, we are seeing that self and we are projecting ourself onto them and attempting to meet them via upward social comparison. So do you ever feel frustrated on Facebook, Twitter, etc. about the one friend who's always doing exciting things that you wish you were doing? This is not really the way it is. Because they share the most monotonous or unfavorable aspect of their lives, what they really are like is not at all apparent. When you compare yourself consciously or unconsciously to someone online, you're making upward social comparison to a fairy tale version of your friend, which can cause all sorts of cognitive distortions about oneself, from considering themselves to be a loser, thinking that they have to meet their friends' standards and model their behavior, to acquiring or further exaggerating body image issues. Body image issues alone are such a massive negative effect on social media users. Likes on a picture you recently uploaded can be translated directly into what you think your attractiveness is. Therefore, your self-worth can be entirely wrapped up in your online persona. This can be dangerous to one's conception and create an untrue distortion. Having addiction to social media can make one crave attention of their peers and cause their self-worth to be, as I said, entirely wrapped up in their online persona. But even without the addictive aspect, too much time spent on social media is just flat out emotionally unhealthy. Constant social comparison can be devastating to one's self-esteem, so practicing restraint from social media can be very helpful. This is not to say that ceasing use of social media or even lessening it is easy. While I was writing this speech, I decided to keep track of how many times I compulsively checked Facebook. I compulsively checked Facebook 21 times by the time I had finished writing this thought. Weeding yourself off of Facebook and the like can be extremely difficult, but I can all but guarantee that it'll be worth it. Thank you.